but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is very, very popular. We're going to talk about the 144,000. Who are they? They're mentioned in the book of Revelation in two chapters, chapter 7 and chapter 14. Now in this Bible study, we will look at these verses and just to see who the Most High is talking about when he talks about the 144,000. In reality, these two different chapters, Revelation 7 and Revelation 14, are talking about two different groups of 144,000. One is in the flesh state, that's chapter 7. These are people who are alive and walking around today. And the other group, which is seen in Revelation 14, these have already been redeemed, and they are with Christ when seen, and they follow him everywhere he goes. Now, this is not to say that those in the flesh bodies will not become those in the glorified body, because they will be sealed and given the promise, and that promise is to be redeemed and to receive glorification. So that's the information about the 144,000. But if you stay around to the end of the video, you will get a chance to hear my personal testimony about the 144,000. This is when the Most High himself rebuked me and told me that he never told me that I was one of the 144,000. Previous to that incident, I had gone around and told many people that I was one of the 144,000. Many YouTubers can attest to this, but I don't do that anymore because of my rebuke. It is a terrible, terrible thing to be rebuked by God himself. You do not want that experience. So let's get started on this Bible study. So who are the 144,000? Well, let's look at the first group in Revelation 7, starting at verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed. And there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And he goes on to name the tribes: Judah, Benjamin, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin, 12,000 from each of these tribes. And that's very clear. These are 12,000 Israelites from the various tribes. Now, a lot of people will say that we don't know who the tribes are. Well, you may not know, but believe me, the Most High knows exactly who these are. He knows every hair on our head, so he knows exactly who are from the various tribes. And for this reason, I would definitely encourage you to wait on my testimony at the end, or at least continue until you get to the end. So these are the blood descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They are the children of Israel. So this includes men and women, the children of Israel. Brothers and sisters are included in this group. It clearly says the children of Israel, not just men, as it is taught by some who really don't know Yahuwah do not have this spirit. These are men and women still on this earth today. They're still in their flesh bodies, and they're still striving to be saved by Yahushua HaMashiach, the Son of God. They are sealed, but they are still waiting to be glorified. And if you read Ephesians chapter 1, verse 13 and 14, it tells you that we all who will be saved have to first be sealed unto redemption. So let's just read Ephesians chapter 1, verse 13 and 14. In whom ye also trusted, after that ye heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, and whom also after that ye believed, ye were sealed with the Holy Spirit of promise, which is the earnest, which is the promise of your inheritance until redemption of the purchased possession unto the praise of his glory. In other words, until you are redeemed and receive your glorified body, you're living off your promise. So basically, that's who the 144,000 are that's listed in Revelation 7. Clearly, these are Israelites, but these are Israelites in their flesh body. They have not been redeemed. They have received the seal of promise, but they have not been redeemed at this point. Okay, let's move on to the second group, group 2, which is found in Revelation 14. So let's read Revelation 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their forehead. And if you continue to read down, you will see, in addition to having the father's name written on their forehead, they have some other traits that make them very special. First of all, they are redeemed, meaning at this point they have received their glorified body. And you can find a reference to that in Ephesians 4:30. I don't have that in front of me right now, but you can read up on that. They are the first fruits. These are redeemed, and the redeemed includes those that started all the way back in the days of Adam. So you have probably Adam and Eve and Abel and Abraham and Sarah and John the Baptist and so forth. And if you read 2nd Ezra, you'll find out more specific information, even though 2nd Ezra is not in our King James Version as we have it today, but it is in our King James Version of 1611. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about Ezra a little bit later on. Okay. The next trait or characteristic says they are not defiled with women. And this is one that I know confuses a lot of people. You have to remember that Revelation is a symbolic book, and everything that's listed in there is not literal. The Most High makes it very clear when he wants you to take things literal and when they have to be taken figuratively or symbolically. In this case, it is not talking about men being virgins, physical virgins as we think of. This is talking about Babylonian doctrine, false church doctrines. Specifically, the women that it's talking about can be found in Revelation chapter 17, verse 5, who is called the mother of harlots and her daughters. These are symbolic women. These are the women that will defile the virgins. Because now we know that all of these people on Mount Zion are not women. They're not all women. They're not all men. because we know that we have people who are being sealed in the flesh body who will eventually be part of this group. So we're not talking here about physical women. We're talking about symbolic women, which are Babylonian churches, or the harlot that's listed in Revelation 17 verse 5, who has daughters. So these are the women. And people, please stop teaching that these are virgin men. This is not true. You must be careful, or you're going to find yourself being polluted by this defilement. So these are not women. So again, these are people who are not believing and not following Babylonian doctrine. Okay, the next characteristic, they follow the Lamb everywhere he goes. The only way that they can follow the Lamb everywhere he goes is that they are immortal, just like him. And they are blameless before God's throne. That means that they have now made it to heaven. They are standing before God's throne, and he sees them as blameless, sinless. They are in heaven. Zion is another name for New Jerusalem or heaven. So I hope that's clear. The second group is the group that has been already redeemed. Okay? Okay, now that we have covered the fact that there are two groups, the first group are the ones that are sealed in their flesh body. The second group are the ones that are redeemed, who are standing on Mount Zion with the Lamb, and they follow him everywhere he goes. So basically, these are the ones who have been redeemed. They have their glorified body. But brothers and sisters, I wanted to make sure that you understand that even though there is two groups, this is by no means all the people that will be saved by Christ. The Bible also speaks of a number that no man can number that will be saved. And we can see that in Revelation chapter 7 verse 9. And let's read that. After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and holding palm branches in their hands. So you see, even though this group, the multitude, is not part of the 144,000, they too are in heaven and have been saved. Now I wanted to include a verse from 2nd Ezra. And I guess I just want to take this little time to vent a little bit about things that are not in our Bible. So I wanted to include a reading from 2nd Ezra chapter 2, because it sheds so much light on who the multitude that will be saved is. It is a shame that our religious leaders removed the second book of Ezra from the Bible. Keep in mind, this is the same Ezra that lived during the time of Haggai, Zechariah, Daniel, Nehemiah, and Ezekiel. He is recognized as a prophet of the Most High, and part of his work is still in the Bible, in the book of Ezra. It's spelled Ezra. So why would they do that? Why would they take this out? Why would they take out information out of the Bible when they know it is one of God's prophets? I will tell you, they did this to hide truth. So I'm asking you, brothers and sisters, to now listen to Ezra's account of the multitude seen on Mount Zion and compare it to John's account of this same vision from the given to him from the Most High. The powers that be have attempted to hide many other truths from us by dissecting God's word. They will be punished for this, because it was the Most High who said that we should not add or take away from his word. They've taken this valuable information out of the book and put it someplace else so that the majority of people, followers of Christ, will not find it. But the Most High is revealing it. So please, by all means, read Ezra. Read the whole book of Ezra. It's some valuable information in there. But especially read the ones that I've specified here. And in fact, I'm going to include a little recording for you. Okay, enjoy.
2 Ezra chapter 2 verses 42 through 48. I Esdras saw upon the Mount Sion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he sets crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel, and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned, and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of God, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them, that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. Then the angel said unto me, Go thy way, and tell my people what manner of things, and how great wonders of the Lord thy God, thou hast seen.
This is my testimony on my rebuke from the Most High over the 144,000. And I guess that's one of the reasons why this topic has been so dear to me, and I've spent so many hours researching it and praying about it. And like everyone else that I know, I have always wondered about the 144,000 in the Bible. I had heard many things over the years in the churches that I grew up in. I heard that they were Jews. No. Another group said, no, they're all Christians. Then another group said, they're all men. And then some even said, no, they have to be all children because they're virgins. And so on and so on. But either way, the 144,000 to me appeared to be a very coveted group. And everyone wanted to be a part of it. So in around 2010, probably around October, I remember praying constantly and asking the Most High, who were these people? Who were the 144,000? And I wanted to know if there were women in the group. So one day I was on my knees, on my face in prayer about this and many other things. And the Most High spoke to me and told me that I was Israel. At that point, I had no idea that I was Israel, and that I was one of the blood descendants of Israel or Jacob. The exact message that he said, you are Israel, one of the blood descendants of Jacob, Israel. Now, I was so ecstatic when I heard this, when he spoke to me. I just burst out into tears of joy and happiness because this was a total new revelation to me. So I was so excited. I told my family. I went home and I told my mother, my sisters, my brothers. I called in the cousins. And I said, we're Israelites. We are the true Jews. The Most High, the God of heaven, has revealed this to me himself. And it is correct, brothers and sisters. There's no doubt about it. We are Israel. I am an Israelite. I heard this from the Most High. He spoke to me himself. So now let's get back to my testimony. So when this information was revealed to me, that is, me being an Israelite, I immediately assumed that I must be one of the 144,000, because remember, I was praying about that. And because I love the Most High with all my heart and soul, and my goal in life at that time, and since I can remember, has been to be obedient and to serve Him in every way that I possibly could. So I figured I must be one of the 144,000. And on top of that, there was nothing in my life that I would put before the Most High. He was everything in my life. So with all of that said, in my mind, it must mean that I was one of the 144,000. I guess maybe you can see where I got that. Even though when He spoke to me, this is what He said. He said that I was an Israelite, and He said that I was the seed of Jacob and Israel. Jacob/Israel. Now, my question to you is, can you be a God-fearing, Christ-believing, Jacob-descending Israelite and not be part of the 144,000 spoken of in the Bible? Well, yes, you can. But now back to my testimony. As I stated earlier, I just knew that I was one of the 144,000, even to the point that I started telling people, I am one of the 144,000. God told me that Himself. I mean, I wrote it on some of the comments. I even revealed it to many YouTubers out there, and some of them you know, and some of you may have seen my comments saying that I was one of the 144,000. I don't think I was bragging, but I do admit I was trying to use that information to gain credibility for the things that I would say, when I wrote comments and so forth. But in my mind, I thought it was true because I had gone through this logical deduction, and so I didn't think I was fabricating at that time. Well, early one morning, I was just lying in bed and just thinking, and the Most High spoke audibly, very clearly to me, and He said, "Daughter, I never told you that you were one of the 144,000. My heart just sank. Believe me, brothers and sisters, I was shaken to my core. My mind started to reeling. My heart sunk, and I just felt horrible. I just felt broken. I saw myself as someone who has misrepresented what my Father had said to me. And it became crystal clear at that point in my mind exactly what He had said to me. He brought it back to me exactly as He said it. And I could not doubt it because I knew that's what He said. It broke my heart. I mean, even to the point that, as I'm speaking this, I'm almost welling up. I had been rebuked by the Father. I felt naked and exposed by His Spirit. I never want to feel that way again. I never want to do that again. I have learned my lesson. And from that time on, I have been so very careful to make sure that I understand exactly what is said to me when I receive messages from the Lord. And I guess I'm so critical when others say that the Most High has said something. I will quickly say, tell me, what exactly did He say? Because, see, I know what I was guilty of. And I know that if I'm guilty of it, some others may be guilty of it. And the thing about it is when we take and run with what we want to hear based on what he says, that's when we end up being disappointed. Because many of the interpretations that we get from what we think God has said, he has really not said that. This is what we wanted to hear. So I ask people when they tell me that the Most High, I say, what exactly was the message? What did he say to you? Let me hear it without your interpretations or anything that you want to add. Because I know from my experience, and even knowing it, we can add, and even knowing that, we can add and take away from the words of the Most High without even trying it. And it is a serious offense. So I'm not telling anyone else that I am one of the 144,000. And if any of those hear this video, and if I have mentioned it and I have said that, and you know that I have, I ask you to forgive me, because I have repented of that. And I never ever want to do that again. And I ask you to forgive me if I have misled you in any way. The Most High knows who the 144,000 are. But we're not to be worried about that. We're just to hold on to know that he is going to save us if we put our faith in him. So shalom, brothers and sisters, and I just wanted to share my testimony with you, because sometimes these things can be hard.